Hi everyone, I hope you're doing great and thank you for watching this video. So today we want to do something a bit different with everything that is happening right now in Lebanon and in Gaza as well. We just wanted to take a moment to give back to the actual people that are suffering from this genocide. And this is why I invited today with me one of my favorite guests ever, Youmna, who is Lebanese and who also wanted to just come here and share her thoughts and let us know how it feels like and what can we do about this situation. So, yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. This is my favorite podcast at this point because you already creating a podcast and creating a platform for Arab women to speak is actually, not that we're not allowed to speak, I just want to make sure of that, but it's just for us to be able to express ourselves and to be able to showcase that all the stereotypes that have been taught considering about us is, we're kind of debunking it bit by bit. So thank you so much for that.
I mean, I'm trying.
You're succeeding, I will say.
I don't know if you've been seeing the comments, but like it's crazy because between us, ourselves, we are tearing ourselves apart. Like, and anyways, but that's another topic.
That's another topic. One we will maybe talk about. But yeah, so thank you for introducing. So I'm going to, because I would never dream to ever speak for Palestinians. I do consider, because for me, borders in that region have been forced upon us. So for me, we're all one big happy family. They might not agree with me, but for me, I mean, listen, you fight with your family all the time. But for me, borders do not exist. Like, Palestinians are my brothers and sisters. Syrians are my brothers and sisters. Jordanians are my brothers and sisters. It's such a small area. And of course, I'm Lebanese as well. So it's just a small area. So their hurt is my hurt, but I'm going to specifically speak about Lebanon because while I consider their hurt my hurt, I won't speak for them. So that's my disclaimer. But for Lebanon, so a little bit of a background and like context, if you will. So a year ago, on October 7th, there was the Al-Aqsa flood in Gaza. And October 8th, that's when the genocide started happening. And what some people might know, might not know, on October 8th, that's when also Lebanon, like the resistance in Lebanon, started backing the resistance in Gaza. And since October 8th, 2023, the south of Lebanon has been constantly bombarded by the occupation. And since then, we've kind of constantly, because what makes me a bit sad is that now a lot of people are talking about Lebanon, but Lebanon has been getting hit since October last year. And many Lebanese are also guilty of that as well. Me at times included, because the South is part of our country. The South is one of the pillars of our country. But it doesn't get a lot of media. It barely gets any media coverage. And because the resistance is there and it's purely political and everything. But I have friends from the South, some of their villages have been hit. Their family had to evacuate. I'm not personally from the South. I'm from the Greater Lebanon region. I'm from the mountains. But...
Sorry for sounding so ignorant.
No, it's okay. I don't know where anything in Morocco is, to be fair.
No, but I just want to know, because you keep talking about the south and the rest of Lebanon, what is the big major difference between the two regions?
Well, the thing with Lebanon is that it is heavily sectarian. So you have a lot of places that are considered maybe the Muslim Shia area or the Muslim Sunni area, and then you have the Christian area, and then you have the Druze area. And so I will say one major difference is also which quote unquote religion is, or sect is predominant, but we're also considering, like, we have a lot of sects, we're also all integrated, so you can maybe consider it, this is more of a Muslim community. This is more of a Christian community, but we're all interconnected. We all live there. So the main difference, I will say, is the south. Like, so you have the south. That's where, let's say, Nabatieh is, or not. Sorry. So Nabatieh, Marjayoun, like these. I mean, I'm telling you, you don't know where these are.
I'm like,
no, but like, so that's the Lebanon map. I'm gonna say south is here. It's at the border with Palestine, like really close. Like Nabatieh, you can literally see. We have something called Bouwabit Fatima, which is Fatima's Bouwabit portal. I guess that's a very rough translation. And from Bouwabit Fatima, you can actually see Palestine.
Okay.
We're that close to them. And then you have, or Nabati, maybe Naoura. Lebanese people are going to come at me. Listen, like it's very tough visualizing the map right now. And then, so the south, because we're kind of a small country, you can actually travel around Lebanon in a day.
oh wow.
Yeah, it's very small. It's 10,452 square kilometers, so it's not that big. And then so you have the south, and then you go up the south, like maybe about 45 minutes, you're in Beirut, that's the capital.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have the greater Lebanon area, which is the mountains, which is where I'm from. You'll have, and the Mount Lebanon, so it's kind of called Mount Lebanon area. You have Shuf, you have Dhur Shwer, where I'm from. You have, then that's also more that way. Sorry, I really need the and and then you have the Bekaa Valley that's further. That's the Bekaa Valley borders on Syria.
Okay.
And then you have the north. So that's the main difference. So the main difference is that in terms of bombing, because now at this point they're bombing everywhere.
Yeah.
I don't want to say it, but my parents are, I'm very grateful for that. They're far from the bombings, but considering that Lebanon is very small, they can hear everything. And it's very scary because it's also very tiring that you have to keep thinking that, oh, my parents are good for now.
Yeah.
You know, because if my mom decides to, for example, go somewhere that she thought was safe, God forbid something falls there, or my dad that goes to work, God forbid something falls there. So it's very...
How does that make you feel?
I don't know how to answer this question, you know, because my default, I always tell my friends that my default is I'm not okay, you know, and I feel very selfish saying this because I'm very lucky to be here, that I'm safe. But at the same time, part of me is like, I don't want to be safe. I want to be down there. I don't care if I'm not safe. I will be with my family. I will be in my country. I will be in my home. But the constant waking up, making sure like I'm holding my phone, sending my mom sabaho, like good morning, and just making sure that that it's gonna blue tick so that she answers me, or my dad, for example, and or my friends. You know, I have a friend that lives pretty much next to Dahieh, and Dahieh is part of the southern suburb of Lebanon, is a southern suburb of Beirut, and Dahieh is going through it. Like Dahieh is very much getting like what has been happening in Gaza for a year. That's what's happening in Dahieh right now, and he lives right next to it. And I'm constantly texting him, "Hey, you good? Like you good?" At this point, he's kind of like, "Okay, so Youmna, stop it. I'm fine." And it's like, you're gonna have to forgive me. I'm far. It's tough, and I feel like I need to be doing something. You know, the entire time that. I mean, this is why I go to protest. This is why I post. This is why I donate. And I've always been an activist for as long as I can remember. Since I learned about, like, something that really ignited my activism was when we learned about apartheid in Africa, in South Africa. And I kept thinking, like, why would that happen? And that kind of, I was maybe 14, 15. And that's when I started reading more. That's when I started really getting into activism. And also, when you're Arab, you're inherently political.
True.
It just comes up to it, you know? So, yeah.
Do you think that one day, that's a big question for me. Do you think that one day in history books, they will actually talk about this genocide, or will they just erase that part of history?
I don't know. That's the thing. I guess because history is written by the winners, right? And I guess we should wait and see who's going to win. Because for me, and a lot of people look at me and like, how can you still be hopeful? And which is very funny because this genocide and what's been happening in Lebanon, it kind of reignited a faith I didn't know I had. And I kind of like, you need to have faith. You need to be hopeful, because if you are not hopeful, I mean, listen, there are days where I'm just kind of like, and today's one of those days kind of, where I'm just like, how are we meant to go on? Because a lot of the pictures we see, some are AI generated, some are not AI generated, but because everything's AI generated, you start doubting, like, what am I seeing? Is this real? Is this not real? So you kind of keep thinking, like, how am I to go on? How am I supposed to go on? And also, like, how am I supposed to go to class? How am I supposed to go to work? I'm just in constant survival, autopilot mode. But in terms of whether they're going to talk about the genocide or not, I'm hopeful that they will, because I'm hopeful that our resistance will win. I'm hopeful that because regardless of everything that's happening and everything and all the deaths and the death toll going up, I have never seen the public opinion change like that. This is why I'm very hopeful, because I haven't just been wearing my kufiye since October 7th, you know? I've been wearing my kufiye since I came here. I've been wearing my kufiye since 2016, 2017. And to see the streets flooded with kufiye, to see the streets flooded with the Lebanese flag, the Palestinian flag, this is something I've never seen. And I've been here for 9 years. This is something I've never seen. Seeing online, yes, there are people who are still defending what's happening, but there are people who are marching against it. And even I see sometimes comments from people in Gaza, from people in Lebanon that are saying, keep marching, you guys are giving us hope. The thing with Lebanon right now, though, is this is very fairly fresh. You know, as I said, the South has been getting hit since October 8th. But unfortunately, it kind of, some people would allow themselves to look the other way because it's the South, which is not okay. But because it was confined in one area, it was easier for people to go on with their lives. But now it's hitting Beirut. Beirut's the center.
Yeah.
Beirut's the airport. Beirut is, well, also, we got hit 4 years ago with the Beirut blast on in August 4th. So it's like, there was a port, and now there's no longer a port. And now there's constant fear around. They're not hitting the airport per se, but they're hitting around the airport.
What would you say is the main difference between, like, let's say 4 years ago and today, from Israel's side? How did they come to that point of bombing everywhere and like even the capital, Beirut?
Yeah. Well, the thing is, now they're not hiding it anymore. Now they're no longer hiding that Beirut was always on their radar, that Lebanon was always on their radar, because they're also bombing Beirut, they're bombing the south, they're bombing the Bekaa Valley, they're bombing the Kisirwan Valley, and not Kisirwan, sorry, the Kisirwan area, not valley. But they're no longer hiding it. They're no longer hiding, because at first it was always like, no, we don't want, like, they were trying to do it diplomatically, that no, and keeping it like, no, it's just this is our land, this is the promised land. But now they go on air and they fully say, no, this is part of our territory. Like, they're willing to take 10 kilometers from our territory. They fully said that the Litani River is part of our territory. That's 10 kilometers from Lebanon. So you're basically saying you want a piece of us. Yeah. And so what changed from 4 years ago to now is that they're no longer hiding it. They're no longer playing the diplomatic game. They're no longer playing this is self-defense. Some people still say it's self-defense. To those people, I ask, do you know what self-defense means?
Yeah.
But
the same people that are saying there is no genocide, that's ridiculous.
Yeah. I hate the term war. A lot of the times we have to say it, but war initially means that there are two entities who kind of have the same ammo. They don't have the same ammo. And but the thing is, when I say war, when it comes to underground, our men underground are fierce. Our men underground have been ready for this their entire lives, which is sad because sad. I'm saying this like the little peace and love part of me. It's kind of like, it's sad because it's just, why do you always have to be in constant state of wars coming?
Yeah.
But at the same time, we are in a region where there's always going to be war because there is an entity that wants to destroy us. So you do have to defend yourself. So if anything, what we're doing is self-defense. What they're doing is aggression. So there's that.
And it's crazy what you said earlier about the fact that we've seen so many flags on the street here in Montreal and people supporting. Yeah. And I feel like the public opinion also has changed because before, 4 years ago, it was, oh, this happened in Lebanon, oh, whatever, and just going on with our days. But today it's like, no, it's part of our day, Yeah. We can't escape really that matter. And what's funny for me, it was like I had a conversation with a Canadian friend and she posted a story about like a Palestinian flag and Lebanon flag. And I was like, finally.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I told her like we grew up in Morocco, we grew up with this history of, a tyrant and a victim. And they just come to realize that, which is crazy to me.
It's, the thing is, I don't blame anybody who lives in this part of the world to just finally figuring it out. You know what I mean? Because, well, also when you're not close to this region, you kind of have your own problems to deal with, because Canada also deals with a high level of homelessness, inflation that's going up every year, and healthcare system that, thankfully, we do have free healthcare, but this system really needs refurbishing, really needs an update of software. But every country has their own issues to deal with. So, but what also is making me feel hopeful is that a lot of people are slowly noticing that a lot of our issues are interconnected with what's happening in the Middle East, because our taxes are going to funding what's going on instead of our taxes funding fixing our. Well, honestly, fix the roads.
First of all,
fix the roads. Fixing the homeless situation, fixing, for example, because the amount of indigenous people on the streets that cannot even go to shelters because shelters are not equipped to take care of that many homeless people and houseless individuals. So. Once they see that, like, okay, I'm paying that many taxes, where are they going? And bit by bit, once they understand more and more the politics, they'll understand, oh no, we're all interconnected in that aspect. And that makes me feel hopeful because a lot of the times when I would speak to, because also I had experiences when I would speak to Canadian friends and they would be like, well, we have our own issues. And it's like, but that's part of it.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that bit by bit, because it's all about educating, I don't think that it's up to the Arabs to educate because we're tired. Yeah. I mean, if you ask me and you're being very careful with your wording, you're not basically, because I do appreciate the friends I have. I appreciate the friends I have that aren't from that background, that just tell me what resources can you point me to, because not every source can be trusted. When they ask me what sources can I trust, this I appreciate because they're not putting it on me to educate them. Mm-hmm. They're telling me, what do you read so I can read? Or I've had friends that asked me, where can we donate? Like, do you have links? And that makes my heart go tenfold,
Have you lost friends since the...
Yes.
How many?
I've lost a few. I've lost one specific person, very sadly, because they turned out to be somebody I thought they weren't. This type of person, like I held their baby, we were super close, but their politics do not align with mine. And
but I feel like this is not even a question of politics. It's like,
humanity.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So yeah, I feel like people don't even understand that part. You know, it's like people are being killed.
Yeah, exactly. And that's because I got really hurt because the way I saw it, because I lost them a few months already. Like it was, I think, around February that we never spoke again, because I had been posting about the genocide for 6 months. And then they post something on their story and they completely, I'm like, and they watch my story religiously. And the way they posted, I'm like, what did you just post? What was that? And then I kept thinking, maybe I'm misreading it. And then I posted like indirectly saying on the story, like, please, you have to be careful what you're posting, blah, blah, blah. And then they posted tenfold. And that's when I was like, you know what? I don't even want to bother. I unfollowed them. I blocked them. I was like, I do not want to be affiliated with you. And they spoke to my friend. They didn't speak to me because I kind of blocked them from everywhere, because I didn't want to be associated with them. I didn't want to talk to them. I didn't want to like know somebody in my life like that. They spoke to my friend, and my friend was like, you have to understand that this is very personal for us. And no offense, but you don't know anything about it. Like, why are you posting? So I lost that friend. That friend kind of hurt to lose them because we were super close. We went through a lot together. We spoke. We trusted each other. And I miss their baby. Look at I miss their kid. But listen, the people you lose because of your humanity, that weren't worth keeping, in my opinion. But yeah. Did you lose friends from that?
I mean, I didn't lose friends, but I saw the true face of some people that I knew, which is kind of weird because you just realize it hits you. You're like, oh, this is the kind of person I'm dealing with. Yeah. And this is, and just to be clear here, we are not talking about, religions or Jews against Muslims or whatever. That's not it. It's like an oppressed versus an oppressor. And the people don't understand that part, which is the most frustrating to me, actually.
Because they try to silence you. Because there are even Jews who stand with the Palestinian cause. Sure. I go to protest. There are Jews. There's a population of Jews. I mean, there's the Natori Karta that goes. That there are rabbis that come with us. You have Jews. Like I spoke to a Jew during the protest, and she said, "My parents no longer speak to me." Like there are a lot of Jews here that we're going against our parents' wishes, because it's not about Jews versus Muslim versus Christians. It's about like you said, an oppressor with the oppressed people, and it's about land theft. It's about genocide. It's about using a religion to justify a genocide, even though these people went through a genocide themselves. And the true Jews will tell you, when we said never again, we said never again for anyone. So how can you defend that? How can you defend that? And I'm speaking from what Jews told me. I'm not speaking for Jews. And they kept saying, how can you defend a Holocaust, a genocide, because we went through the Holocaust? You're supposed to be against that. You're supposed to understand more than anything what a Holocaust does to people. And it's crazy because my friend and I were talking about it, and it's like, you read about these things in history books. Yep. And you keep thinking, well, that's never going to happen to me. And it happens. And as this is going to sound so bad, considering that Palestinians are right next to me, and Palestine is right next to my home. And if it weren't for Western borders, we have the same last names. We have the same blood running through our veins. But they've been going through this for 76 years. And I mean, the aggression on Gaza hasn't been this bad since, October 2023. But then now I'm going through what they've been going through for a year. Yeah. But I've never been made to feel by a Palestinian that they look at me and I'm like, well, we've been going through this for a year. Because once the aggression started in Lebanon, because the protests on the streets started being for Palestine and for Lebanon. Like, it's like our cause is one, our enemy is the same, our people are one. And it makes my heart grow fonder. This is also why I'm very hopeful. This is also why. And it's just, I don't know, like I keep going through like round and round, but like certain days I'm very hopeful. I wake up, I'm hopeful. Certain days I'm like, I have the itch. I need to do something. This is why also going on the streets and protesting helps, because you don't feel as helpless anymore. The chanters kind of yell back at you and you yell back at them, and you kind of like, you feel their frustration, they feel your frustration. So the energy goes up and it creates a sort of community. So all the friends I lost because I'm like, oh, you're that type of person that I had in my life, I gained with the community at the protest, and I'm grateful for that. And I'm grateful also that the friends that stayed in my life, y'all got morals. Thank you.
Yeah, that makes me also hopeful. And one thing that really shifted, I think, for me was to watch it through social media.
Yeah.
Because, when we grew up, we had history books, like you said, but we didn't have direct access to information, news, and documentation about what was happening right now. And today I can see TikToks of, Lebanese people going through that, recording bombings, everything. And like, my question here is, how do you feel about that? How does that, is that helpful in any way, or is it just, because I feel like sometimes you just keep scrolling and you become numb about these things. So what are your thoughts on this?
It's a double-edged sword. It's definitely a double-edged sword, because something I did post about it today too, because a lot of templates that are going around on people's stories is taking pictures of Lebanon and saying, this is Lebanon, this is not Gaza. And I'm like, this is very insensitive to post, because and I know that it's also part of it that's saying that they're saying that, listen, the enemy doesn't care they don't differentiate between Palestine and Lebanon, but it also, you're basically saying, oh, we're used to these images coming from Gaza, but from Lebanon, we're not used to that. Unfortunately, the West is used to us looking like that anyways, whether we're Lebanese, whether we're Syrian, whether we're Palestinian. I mean, Syria went through a war not too long ago. We had a bombing 4 years ago. Palestine has been going through this for generations, for almost a century. I mean, not at this stage, but when it comes to social media, people do get desensitized because they're scrolling, and it's like, oh, well, another building was hit. Oh, another bombing happened, et cetera, et cetera. But the positive aspect of it is that the awareness now is rising, even though some people are numb, there are some people who are also like, what is happening? What are you doing? Like, what is good? Like, because then they're going to be like, there's no way you're doing this. There's no way, like, why is nobody stopping them? So it makes people enraged. It makes people actually want to do something.
Do you remember the MET Gala event?
Oh my, yes, exactly.
That's the first time ever I felt like our voices meant something.
Yeah, because that's the first time people were actually criticizing it. Because last year, everybody was kind of like, oh yeah, like let's, they were actually caring and giving a damn about what people were wearing. This year, everybody, and that made me so happy. Everybody started debunking just how much it costs to go to the MET Gala. Everybody started saying like, oh, all this is happening and there are kids being destroyed. And because the MET Gala happened and there was a very harsh attack on Gaza at the same time. I believe it was at Rafah, in Rafah. I might be wrong, but
it was
in Rafah, exactly. And everybody was kind of like, guys, keep your eyes on Rafah. Like, do not be, and it made me very happy. I mean, did the attack still happen? Absolutely. But there was awareness. There were people who no longer supported what was happening. Like the grandiose MET Gala of paying what, like $74,000 for a ticket. that's not even what the working class in the States do. And they make. And everybody was per year, exactly. And you're spending it on one night because you want to see what Blake Lively is wearing. Oh, but let's not talk about Blake Lively.
Yeah, she wasn't there that night.
She wasn't there, exactly. But it's...
I know. And sorry, I just want to jump on that because there is also another story that is sad this time about social media. I don't know if you heard about this TikToker who was Palestinian and he was documenting as well the genocide, and he was posting every day videos about him and his life. And the thing that he did was he was actually making Palestinian look human, you know? It was like a normal day in my life kind of videos. And Israel found his location and they targeted him on purpose. Yeah. And unfortunately, he's dead as we are speaking right now. And, you know, this day I just wanted to like cry myself to sleep because I was like, how is that possible? How can we watch someone on screen and this person is no longer with us? Yeah. And it's so like everyone makes it seem like it's okay. Like
it's nerve-wracking because you have Palestinians, children, like or not children, but super young, you know, like I mean, I know you probably know Bisan, like Bisan's 20, maybe 21, I don't know, but Bisan is very young, and Bisan is documenting every day. Bisan made a document. Bisan is posting videos every day. She has a broadcast channel on Instagram, and every day I wake up and I'm like, she's still here, okay. And that's the case for every, and what I really love about Bisan is that she doesn't do it to incite pity. She's basically just showing the reality and documenting like a journalist. That's more, I went to journalism school for 4 years. I can never be the journalist she is, you know? And she didn't go to school. And a lot of kids now, they have school in refugee camps. Can you imagine being in your own country, you're in a refugee camp? And like you said, it's like one day he was there making Palestinians look human. The other, they just targeted him. They're killing them because no, God forbid we humanize Palestinians. Yeah. Or God forbid, like, and in Lebanon, they killed a couple, an elderly couple in the south. They had nothing to do with the resistance fighters. They had nothing to do with the resistance. And they were like, and it's, and the broadcasting and the propaganda of we're only targeting where there might be arms and for resistant arms. And it's like, are you hearing yourself? Every single resistance fighter, whether it's Palestinian resistance or Lebanese resistance, if you see the death toll, they never say civilians. Yeah. It's only soldiers. Yeah. Because we fight with honor. We fight with integrity. Sorry, I might get emotional.
I mean, me too, like...
Because we fight with honor. We know, because this is because we're defending ourselves. And if somebody's going to come and talk to me about hostages, fair. But there are more than 10,000 Palestinian hostages that have never seen the light of day. But they call them political prisoners. So yeah, I guess it's all about language, as we say. Oh, but there are no hostages in Lebanon, by the way, so I don't know what they're going after.
I'm just taking a moment here because we're talking about this and it feels so surreal at the same time, you know. It's so crazy to me. And what I wanted to ask you before is that you mentioned the bombing 4 years ago, and I remember specifically you being there or going to a trip to actually, like, it was a rescue trip or helping. I did. Yeah, I think it was with the Red Cross, right?
The Lebanese army.
Okay. First of all, amazing. Like, what?
Thank you. I can always do more, but yes, thank you.
I mean, you're doing more than every one of us here. So I'm just like, wow, this girl is amazing.
I mean, there's nothing special about me. We can all do this, honestly.
It's true. But what makes someone not do it and someone do it, actually?
I don't know. Honestly, I don't. For me, I'm very much, I'll work on myself. I'll never look at other people and say, I'm not saying that's what you're doing, but I'll never look at other people and say, you could be doing more, you could be doing that. For me, it's more like, no, we can all do it. Now, I do say that some of us have more motivation to do it. Some of us have more, because for me, activism comes in all shapes and sizes. Some go on the streets, some write about it, some have a podcast about it, some write songs about it, some draw. For me, resistance comes in all shapes and sizes. There are some resistance that are, in terms of, for example, the armed resistance is more action-based. The armed resistance is the highest form. I do agree. For me, all of them have their own high form. But the highest form is fighting on the ground, because you're putting your literal life at risk. And it's... So I guess for me, what makes a difference between somebody who does a lot and somebody who does as much as they can, I don't want to say the bare minimum. I don't want to come up to a person and say, you could be doing more. For me, I honestly think we can all do more. And this is not in an accusatory tone, but because we can. If we can't, it's okay. If we can, let's go. A couple of months ago, I didn't go to protest every week, but something kind of pushed me. I will give a big shout out to my sister who pushed me, and to the community, the protest community who pushed me. The more you got to know them, and the more my sister started pushing me, let's go every week, that pushed me. So I guess also the importance is to have, like, in French we say réseau, like a
network.
Thank you. Like a network of people who are going to push you and who are going to encourage you. I have that. I have my sister, I have my best friend, I have my friends in general who never make me feel like, God bless them, every time they do something on Sunday, they're like, oh, Youmna, can't she has protests? Let's try to find another way. So I have a network of people who push me and who amplify my voice and who make me feel like I'm safe, you know? And so I guess that's what pushes me to do stuff. That's what, I guess, you have to look at people who are going to encourage you to help others. So we talked about it last time, the community, the importance of community, because you can't do it alone. On days where I feel like my activism is dwindling, on days where I'm like, I don't want to post, I don't want to go, I feel heavy, I'm not myself, I'm like, I just want a time for myself. By all means, we should all take days where it's like, okay, take care of yourself. But you're taking care of yourself to go back on the street. That's the way I see it. I'm never going to tell other people what to do. But for me, how I stay motivated, it's take care of yourself to go back. Take care of yourself to go back. Take care of yourself so you can stay there and fight. Because we're sitting there and we're very, very privileged, because I'm not under the bombings. 4 years ago, I left. And I wish I didn't, because I want to go back there. And a lot of people are going to come and tell me like, oh, no, you know you're privileged now. You're not scared if you're going to leave, if you're going to stay alive and blah, blah, blah. And I do recognize my privilege. But that privilege comes at the expense of I'm seeing my people die. Like, even if it's not my direct family, God forbid, every single person on the ground in Lebanon is my family. And I'm seeing their houses collapse. I'm seeing everything happen. And I'm just like, I can do more. I can do more. I spend my... Sorry, I'm making you cry. I'm sorry.
No, anyways.
But yeah, just like any paycheck that comes in, there's like an amount of money that goes to donations. I try to do as much as I can. And I always feel like I can do more. I always feel like I can do more, because I just feel like nothing I do is good. Nothing I do is enough, because it's still happening. And while I keep being hopeful, for me, posting about it every day, talking about it, being able to talk, to have that podcast, and I know that's going to come. I mean, let's be real. Me being this raw will come at the expense of something, because pro-Palestinian voices are being targeted. But it's worth it to me. It's worth it, because that's the least I can do. And I don't know what else to say, but yeah, I mean.
Sorry. It's just like everything that you said was so powerful, and it makes me like it feeds my energy and my fire to fight even more, you know?
you.
And the last thing that you said was the craziest part, you know, because you said being a pro-Palestinian, pro-Lebanon voice comes at the cost of something.
Yeah.
And it's crazy to think that today in our world that standing for justice makes us a target.
Yeah.
And I hate that for us.
I hate that for us too. It's crazy because I drive, because a lot of these people condemn the Holocaust that happened during World War II. A lot of these people condemn slavery. And to me, yes, absolutely condemn these too. But you have a genocide that's happening under your eyes right now. What are you doing about it? What are you doing about it? You're using this, and every pro-Lebanon and pro-Palestine voice is being targeted and is being showcased and is being kind of targeted and we're labeled as terrorists. And I partly it does come, not partly, a big problem is the Islamophobia, because to be Muslim is basically to be violent and to bomb and everything. And for me, it's kind of like, you condemn anti-Semitism as you should, Nobody should hate on, nobody should claim and encourage violence on Jews.
Yeah.
But what about the Muslims? What about the Muslims? There are 2 billion Muslims in the world. If they wanted to rule the world, didn't you think they would have? I'm sorry, there's 2 billion Muslims in the world. And the highest percentage is not even in the Middle East. And also, have you met Muslim people? You know, I mean, I grew up Christian. My parents are Christian. But I've started talking to them. Most of my friends are Muslims. And people who truly understand their religion, they're not gratuitously violent. The Christian faith is very peaceful. Like, it's always about, maybe that's why I never really identify with it, because it's like, what do you mean I'm turning the other cheek? I'm not turning the other cheek. Whereas Islam is more about, no, you're going to defend yourself if somebody is attacking you, which is human. It's more, you're not God. You're not as, you're not forgiving. You're human. And God wants you to protect yourself. But if you've ever met, just like some people tell you, if you really meet a Jew that's not a Zionist, you will see that their Torah, that their religion doesn't speak for what's happening. Once you see a Muslim that's pure in their faith, what are you, like all the stereotypes that we were fed? Why? Because Arabic is a tough language. I'm sorry. That's it? Have you heard Arabic poetry? You just haven't heard good Arabic. I'm sorry. It's just, and even that, what? Because you don't understand the language? I don't understand German. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, German, Nazi, but German is a harsh language, but it's not my language. I'm not going to go and like every freaking German is a Nazi. What are you even talking about? So for me, it's the targeting of activists who are for a ceasefire, who are for freedom and for justice and for an end to this war. You're targeting us and you're claiming that we're the terrorists. You are, and there are people within some networks, moles, that are going to target you and dox you and make sure that you never get in a school, you never get employed anywhere. And how is that helping anybody? Like, honestly, what are you doing? How dare you? I'm over here advocating for my people not to die, and you're over here saying, well, she doesn't deserve a job. And it's like, okay, all right. So the person who was yelling at me to go die and death to all Arabs and to, sorry, this is very graphic, but like, yes, let's rape Palestinian men, let's rape Lebanese men. This person gets a job, but I don't, because I say I want justice. And occupied people have a right to self-defense.
And what it teaches us about ourselves too, you know, because if you cannot stand up for yourself and for your people, what is left of you, you know? Nothing. I mean,
exactly. And it breaks my heart because at the end of the day, you need to make ends meet. So a lot of people are going to disagree with me on this, but I don't blame anybody who's not as vocal as I am. I'm still not in the extreme, but I'm never going to come up and tell people you should be more vocal. I'm not, because I understand you need to make ends meet. We live in a system where you need, especially if you have a family, you need to get that paycheck and you need to pay your bills. I understand. And I see people, if they're not as vocal as me and if they don't go on the streets every day, they have activism in a different way. Like they will not engage with people they know are Zionists. They will not engage with people who advocate for them being dead, basically. They will boycott because that's another way of resistance because you're hitting their economy too, so you boycott. And that's their way of being activists. For me, there's more than one way. And I will never blame a person. I will never hate on a person who's not doing what I'm doing, because people have conditions in their lives that I can never understand. And that's that. Because a little can go a long way. There are cases, for me, I like to go on the streets. I like to write about it. I like to scream about it. I like to go on and be public about it and voice everything. But some others cannot afford to do that, and they do it in a different way. And that's that. We're all a community. You need a community to build it up. So there's that.
Beautiful words.
Thank you. I tried.
You should do a TED Talk someday. Honestly, I wish that for you.
I like that. I would love to do a TED Talk. I watched your TED Talk. It's a really nice one.
Thank you. Yeah. Oh my God. And I'm thinking about that at the same time, and I'm like, will this, at this moment, what we are doing, will it cancel some opportunities for ourselves, you know? And
I know.
I think even knowing that, I think we owe it to ourselves to speak the truth.
For me, it's a risk I'm willing to take. You know what I mean? Because when you approach me, and thank you so much for that, but when you approach me and say, do you want to talk about it? My first impulse is like, what if that affects something in my life? What if it affects me getting employed and stuff like that? And then I was like, and even my sister fully told me, like, you know what? Like I said last time, tikla Allah. Like, trust in Allah, trust in God. Go. Like, this is very important. This is like a platform you can talk about it. And because I'm also not talking, like, I'm not claiming to be a political analyst. I'm not. I read as much as I can, but I'm not a political analyst. I'm not somebody who, especially, like, there's a saying that says, if you understand politics in Lebanon, you didn't understand anything. I do understand, I do read, I inform myself. I'm very open to various, because I always know that somebody knows more than I do. Because I did leave very early on. I left when I was, 17, 18 from Lebanon? And when you're 17, 18, luckily I didn't grow up in war. I mean, there have been attacks, but I was fortunate enough to live my adolescence, to live my childhood. The 2006 war, I was far. I didn't feel what people now are feeling, because the aggressions that are happening right now, they happen on a lower scale in 2006. But now the aggression is very high, because now they have better arms, because they're constantly being sent out billions and billions. And now the technology allows them to target the way that they want. Whereas in 2006, it was sort of more contained. But now and also because now it's heavily advertised and it's heavily televised with social media and everything. But yeah, it's. But I still have to talk. You know, I still want to talk. I'm coming up here as a Lebanese who lives abroad, and who wants to talk about it. For people who can't, or people who don't want to, it's okay. I don't know. TikTok might go off on me and be like, "Oh, the fuck do you know?" Sorry, but and go off, I guess. But I'm talking about somebody who, regardless if I'm abroad or I'm not abroad, my heart has always been there. It's not a secret. My heart has always been there. My head has always been there. A lot of my friends are saying, like, you immigrated here, like, you should start your life here. And it's like, which is funny because last episode I told you I don't know if I'll ever go back to Lebanon. And it's crazy how much, like, a few months can change your perception of things, because now I'm like, no, I want to go back. And I'm fighting here so I can go back. Because on the streets now in Lebanon, I don't know what I could do. Maybe I could be helping like I was helping when I was there in August 2020. But here, what I can do, I'm going to do it. And that's that. Hopefully I don't get doxxed. Hopefully I don't. Hopefully it's not me. I don't get called out and opportunities close in my face. But if they do, it wasn't meant for me.
Youmna.
I'm sorry.
No. Like, don't be sorry. On the contrary, I feel like this has been such a therapy talk for me.
Yeah.
And I hope that everyone feels the same way, because a lot of us out there don't know what to do, who to talk to, how to feel. And I think that would be my last question for you. For someone that is actively going through that, what are the resources for your mental health, for just sharing, or for just like being in a safe space? What is the things that you would recommend to those people?
Well, my mental health is shot, honestly, but I will say, surround yourself with your community. Surround yourself with people who understand what's going on. You know, people who, if you tell them what's going on and if you tell them what you're going through, they're not going to come at you with a debate saying like, well, let's debate this, as if it's not something that you're seeing. And you, like, in terms of people from the Levant, people from Lebanon, people from Palestine. Again, I'm not going to speak for Palestinians, but for me, what helped me as a Lebanese is to have a network of Arabs who understand it. Not because there are also, like, just as there are people who aren't Arab, who are fighting for the cause, who are with us 100% and who go on the street with us and who talk about it and post about it, there are Arabs who don't give a damn. There are Arabs who aren't posting. There are Arabs who are saying it's none of my business. Or there are Arabs who, when they post, it does more harm than good and helps the enemy narrative. So when I say surround yourself with people who understand, it could be people who aren't Arab who understand it, or people who are Arab and do understand it. And people who will, in a way, give you a safe space to, if you want to cry, they're going to hold you. They're going to be like, it's okay. If you're like, I don't want to cry today, I want to laugh, they're going to come and tell you, okay, let's laugh. And let's go eat, and let's go make fun, and let's go have like a little bonfire and have s'mores. Let's go eat the boule. Let's go like and one thing also that really helped me is, because bit by bit I'm getting closer and closer to my culture. So cook comfort food that your mom made, because I don't know for resources in terms of people. I will say for people who are in Lebanon, a friend of mine is a psychologist. She offers,
but that's good enough, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, because people feel so helpless that this is good enough, you know?
Yeah.
Just like for me, it's listening to music.
Yeah.
It's stupid, but
no, it's
it
not.
helps, you know?
It's not. It's really not, Sarah. No. Music kind of releases that, and it's therapeutic, you know? And if I've been listening to music. One thing that really I've seen that my mental health is shot, I need constant noise in my house. I don't know if it's healthy. I don't know if it's not healthy, but I need constant noise, whether it's, I don't know, playing a series in the background, listening to music, listening to a podcast, mostly playing series because I also like the visuals. But I'm unable to do a task if I'm not stimulated. Otherwise, I'm just on my phone looking at the news, which I still do that, but I still need to, wash my dishes. Yeah. I still need to clean my house. I still need to remove my, clean my cat's litter box. But I mean, but what's mostly important is to have a community. And I will say, if you're somebody who does feel the impulse to go to protests, because it also helps people to see that there are people coming. But one thing that really helped, because one time, it was once the aggression really started in Lebanon and it was very strong. And there was, they did an emergency protest during the week, because normally they're every Sunday. And they did an emergency protest during the week. And I was feeling helpless, and I was just scrolling on my phone and crying all day. I went to the protest. I came back feeling like, okay, people understand me. People were here for me. And they played the Lebanese national anthem. These people are Palestinian, and they played the national anthem. And it kind of made me feel, okay, I'm not alone. And so that really helped. So I can say just everything I did, everything I said to do. But also, if you feel like I want to do more, I want to go and I want an outlet to let out my anger or my frustration or my sadness, going on the street is amazing.
Yeah, I agree with that. And every time I see like a flag, a Lebanese flag or a Palestinian flag up in the air, I take a picture and I'm like, daily reminder.
Talk about Lebanon and Palestine.
Yeah. But
in a good light. We'll deal with our issues later, please.
Thank you so much, Youmna.
Thank you, Sarah.
It was like amazing. As usual, when I talk to you, I'm like, blah, 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 blah.
We're just like, oh my God. It's an open therapy session.
It is. And it feels so good. And I hope everyone out there feels the same way. And just wanted to add, we will link some helpful resources for everyone to just be able to donate, like you said, go to protests everywhere you are in the world, and try to help as much as we can for you to go all of these traumatic events and time. Yeah. And so, thank you, everyone. Thank you, Youmna.
Thank you, Sarah, for this. And go follow Yalla Habibti. Swear.
Yes, please do. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you.